Video games have come a long way since the days of flickering dots on a black screen. What started as a simple hobby has transformed into the most powerful form of entertainment on the planet, surpassing even movies and music combined. But among the millions of titles released over the decades, only a select few didn't just entertain us, they changed the world. These are the games that broke barriers, invented new genres, and redefined what was possible in a digital space. They are the icons that stayed with us long after we turned off the console. Today, we're taking a journey through history to count down the top 10 most influential video games of all time. From the pioneers of the arcade era to the massive open worlds of today, we're looking at the titles that didn't just play the game, they changed it forever. Buckle up because this is going to be a nostalgic ride. Let's dive in. Number 10, The Last of Us.
Did we lose him?
Coming in at number 10, The Last of Us. When Naughty Dog first introduced us to Joel and Ellie, they didn't just give us another zombie game, they gave us a brutal, heart-wrenching lesson in humanity. What makes this game a permanent icon in gaming history isn't just the overgrown post-apocalyptic world, but the raw, emotional bond between its characters.
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed.
It forced us to ask ourselves, how far would you go to protect the one person you have left?
Now, the girl, is she alive?
What girl? I don't know no girl.
With its breathtaking narrative and cinematic execution, The Last of Us proved that video games can tell stories just as powerful as the greatest films of all time.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
Moving on to number 9.
Let's go to a place where everything is made of blocks, where the only limit is your imagination.
A game that proved you don't need hyper-realistic graphics to conquer the world. Minecraft. When it first arrived, nobody could have predicted that a world made of simple blocks would become the best-selling video game of all time. But Marcus Persson gave gamers something revolutionary: absolute freedom. Minecraft wasn't just a game. It was an endless digital canvas where the line between player and creator completely vanished. From building simple dirt shacks to recreating entire fantasy worlds block by block, Minecraft taught us that the only limit in gaming is our own imagination. Its impact was so massive that it even reshaped educational systems worldwide. And to this day, millions of players still wake up every morning in its infinite blocky horizons. Coming in at number 8 is the game that didn't just break the rules, it rewrote the entire playbook for open-world gaming. Grand Theft Auto 3. Before GTA 3, most games were linear paths, but Rockstar Games handed us the keys to Liberty City and told us to go anywhere and do anything. This wasn't just a transition from 2D to 3D, it was a cultural shift. The living, breathing city, the radio stations, and the absolute chaos you could cause made it more than a game. It was a sandbox of pure possibility. It paved the way for every open-world masterpiece we play today. GTA 3 didn't just change how we play, it changed what we expected from a virtual world forever. Coming in at number 7, we have to talk about the granddaddy of all first-person shooters, the legendary Doom. Released in 1993 by ID Software, this wasn't just a game. It was a digital plague that spread across every office and university computer in the world. Before Doom, the gaming industry was a very different place. But then, John Carmack and John Romero unleashed a masterpiece of fast-paced, visceral, and incredibly violent gameplay that changed everything. It introduced revolutionary 3D graphics for its time, complex lighting, and most importantly, the concept of deathmatch, essentially inventing the foundation of online multiplayer gaming as we know it today. But Doom's legacy goes beyond just technical specs. It was a cultural phenomenon that faced massive controversy, yet it pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in entertainment. It turned the first-person perspective into the most dominant genre in the industry. Without the DNA of Doom, we wouldn't have the fast-paced shooters or the massive multiplayer arenas that dominate the charts today. It didn't just give us a shotgun and some demons, it gave the entire gaming world a new heart, pumping with pure adrenaline. Even decades later, if a device has a screen, from a calculator to a refrigerator, someone, somewhere, is trying to run Doom on it. At number 6, we enter a world that became a second home for millions. We're talking about the juggernaut of the MMORPG genre, World of Warcraft. When Blizzard Entertainment opened the gates to Azeroth in 2004, they didn't just release a game, they created a global social phenomenon that redefined what it meant to be online. Before WoW, massive multiplayer games were niche and often frustratingly difficult for the average player. But Blizzard found the magic formula. They crafted a world so vast, so rich in lore, and so incredibly addictive that it brought gaming into the mainstream like never before. It wasn't just about fighting dragons or looting legendary gear. It was about the late-night raids with 40 people, the friendships formed across continents, and the legendary stories of Leroy Jenkins. World of Warcraft dominated the cultural conversation for over a decade, appearing in everything from South Park to Hollywood movies. It proved that a virtual world could have a real-world economy and a living, breathing society. At its peak, with over 12 million active subscribers, it was more than a successful product. It was a digital continent. Even today, every single multiplayer game that focuses on progression, social hubs, or live service updates owes its existence to the foundation laid by World of Warcraft. It remains the undisputed king of its genre, a titan that taught us that sometimes the greatest adventures aren't the ones we go on alone, but the ones we share with thousands of others. As we break into our top 5, we have to pay original respect to the two titans that started it all. We're going back to the absolute roots of the medium with Pong and Pac-Man. In the early 1970s, video games were nothing more than a scientific curiosity. That changed when Atari released Pong. It was incredibly simple, just 2 paddles and a ball. But it was the spark that lit the fire. For the first time, people weren't just watching a screen. They were controlling it. Pong brought video games out of the labs and into the bars and living rooms of the world. But if Pong was the spark, Pac-Man was the explosion. Released in 1980 by Namco, Pac-Man did something no game had ever done. It created a mascot. It moved away from space shooters and sports to give us a character with personality. Pac-Man became the first true pop culture icon of the gaming world, leading to Pac-Mania, merchandise, cartoons, and even a hit song on the radio. Together, these two games defined the DNA of the industry. Pong proved that gaming was a viable business, and Pac-Man proved that games could have a soul and a brand. Every high score you've ever chased and every gaming character you've ever loved exists because these two legends paved the way in a world of flickering pixels and arcade cabinets. They didn't just change the game, they invented the industry. Coming in at number 4 is the game that quite literally saved the entire industry from extinction. We are talking about the legendary Super Mario Bros. For the NES. To understand why this game is so important, you have to look at the context of 1983. The video game market had crashed, retailers were losing hope, and many thought gaming was just a passing fad that had finally died. But in 1985, Nintendo and a visionary named Shigeru Miyamoto unleashed a masterpiece that changed history forever. Super Mario Bros. Didn't just give us a fun game, it gave us a masterclass in game design. It introduced the world to precise controls, hidden secrets, and the brilliant concept of World 1-1, a level designed to teach you how to play without a single line of text. It transformed gaming from a simple arcade distraction into a deep home console experience with scrolling worlds and iconic music that everyone on the planet recognizes today. Mario became more than just a character. He became the face of gaming itself, even more recognizable than Mickey Mouse at one point. This game proved that home consoles were the future and established Nintendo as the king of the industry for decades. Without that first jump over a Goomba, the high-definition masterpieces we play today might never have existed. Super Mario Bros. Didn't just restart the industry, it gave it a heart and a soul that still beats in every game we play. Taking the bronze medal at number 3 is a masterpiece that blurred the line between cinema and interactive entertainment. We are talking about Valve's magnum opus, Half-Life 2.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
When it was released in 2004, it didn't just push the boundaries of technology, it shattered them. While other games were using cutscenes to tell a story, Half-Life 2 kept you firmly in the shoes of Gordon Freeman. The story happened around you in real time, making the world of City 17 feel terrifyingly real. But the true star of the show was the Source engine. It introduced a physics system so advanced that it changed the way we interacted with the virtual world. Remember the first time you picked up a saw blade with the gravity gun? That wasn't just a gimmick. It was a revolution in gameplay mechanics. Beyond the physics, Half-Life 2 gave us characters with soul. The facial animation system was years ahead of its time, allowing characters like Alex Vance to convey complex emotions without saying a word. It proved that first-person shooters could be intelligent, atmospheric, and deeply emotional. Even today, over 2 decades later, the industry is still chasing the level of immersion that Valve achieved. It remains the gold standard for narrative-driven shooters and a reminder that when technology and storytelling perfectly align, the result is nothing short of legendary. Earning the silver medal at number 2 is the game that is often cited as the greatest of all time. We are talking about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. When it launched on the Nintendo 64 in 1998, it wasn't just a masterpiece, it was a blueprint that every single 3D action-adventure game has followed ever since. Before Ocarina of Time, developers were struggling to figure out how to make combat and exploration work in a 3D space. Nintendo solved it by inventing the Z-targeting system, the lock-on mechanic that is now a standard in almost every modern game, from God of War to Elden Ring. It gave us a sense of scale and adventure that felt truly epic as we traveled through time to save the Kingdom of Hyrule. But it wasn't just about the mechanics. It was the atmosphere, the hauntingly beautiful music of the ocarina, and the emotional weight of Link's journey from childhood to adulthood. It felt like a living, breathing world with its own secrets and legends. To this day, Ocarina of Time holds the highest Metacritic score in history, and for good reason. It didn't just transition a franchise into 3D, it defined the very language of 3D gaming. It is a timeless symphony of design that remains as influential today as it was over 25 years ago. And finally, we reach the summit. At number 1, we have the undisputed king of video games, the one, the only, Tetris. You might be surprised to see such a simple-looking game at the top of the list, but Tetris is the purest definition of what a video game is meant to be. Born in a Soviet laboratory in 1984 by Alexei Pajitnov, Tetris transcends language, age, and culture. It is the only game in history that is played by everyone, from grandmothers on their phones to professional esports athletes on the big stage. It is a masterpiece of psychological design, tapping into the human brain's natural desire to create order out of chaos. Think about the impact. Tetris was the killer app that made the Game Boy a global success, bringing gaming into the pockets of millions for the first time. It has been ported to over 65 different platforms, and it's estimated that billions of people have played it at some point in their lives. While the most advanced AAA titles of today will eventually look outdated, Tetris is timeless. It was perfect the day it was created, and it will be just as perfect 100 years from now. It is more than just a game. It's a universal language. It proved that at its core, gaming is about the thrill of the challenge and the satisfaction of a perfect fit. Tetris didn't just change the world, it conquered it, one line at a time. And that is why it stands alone at the top of our list as the most influential video game in history. Of course, narrowing down the thousands of incredible games to just a top 10 is an impossible task. There are so many masterpieces that could have easily made this list. We have to give a massive shout out to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for setting the gold standard for modern RPG storytelling. We can't forget Space Invaders, which practically launched the arcade era, or Resident Evil, which taught us the true meaning of survival horror. And then there's Metal Gear Solid, the game that turned stealth into an art form and proved that video games could have complex political narratives. But now, I want to hear from you. Which game do you think changed the world the most? Is there a game that shaped your life that didn't make our top 10? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one of them. If you enjoyed this trip through gaming history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more deep dives and top 10s coming your way very soon. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep playing and keep exploring. I'll see you in the next one.